Tonight on Without Walls, the sinister side of the second-hand book trade in The Cardinal and the Corpse.
Once I was very enthused by that life. It was something that replaced a life of rock and roll and going from town to town playing. Instead, I hunted books. It was, in the beginning, more thrilling, and also one felt more noble. Now the world that world has passed.
Mr. Ackroyd, Driffield here. I've got the Blake you were looking for. Don't worry, it's one of my cheaper books. 250. As soon as you send the money.
Hello? Driffield?
The Journals of David Litvinov. I haven't heard of this. What is this? No, strictly, I only look for books. I mean, I can guarantee to find you any book in the world, but I need to have heard... What do you mean it's not a book? A typescript? Ah, no, you'll have to apply to my deluxe service. Well, it's £75 an hour, plus the charge of the book.
To me, a book is outside of time. A book, when it's read, begins to bring time into the organism when it's being read. But there's another part of it, which is the story or the material, which is another process altogether. It's not necessarily architectural. But when we've got the time that it's being read, and when we've got the non-time, which is the book, and when we've got the idea in the mind of the person who is reading it, you've got three components which are enough to make up the whole world of existence.
Well, for the first time in 25 years, I'm now standing at Carpenter's Arms, which I haven't been in since 7 times, and looking back on it, it's just like going back to the Cray days. I think I'm pretty sure to say that this is the last business I ever owned, and going back, it's just like seeing the Twins here as they was then. I mean, over Saturday night here, especially Friday and Saturday night, it was more or less a night out. People would come, especially the Twins, they're always dressed up. It was like another world. You'd have the women out in their finery.
Mrs. Cook first had taken literally everything I had off me. And so I got on the train, arrived at Paddington, I got 2 shillings max, about 1 and 10pence, I think. I went round to the French because I thought to myself, well, I can at least afford one of Gaston's half a bitter, because they were only 1 and a penny in those days. And I ordered that at the bar. Everybody said, well, haven't seen you for a minute or 2, thought she was dead. No, back, as if I'd never been away. So I was drinking this at the bar, and a young fellow who'd been eating with me, by the way, came up to me and said, well, how's the old firm, Maury? I said, well, going a bit unsteady, actually. He said, would you like a job? So I said, you bet. I thought, I don't care what it is.
There's a book, I'm really desperate to find it. It's a magical primer, 18th century, by a guy called Francis Barrett. It's incredible, it's a key to the whole area, key to the city. It's called the Magus.
Jerry, look at these.
Oh, are they?
They're Sexton Blake's by different writers. I think Mike Moorcock wrote one of these.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
They're good covers, aren't they?
Yep, great.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these.
Okay.
You know, they're collectible.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
I said, right, taxi. When we were speeding off, we picked up some other people who I found out were my future fellow directors. And in the cab, I said, I wonder if anybody, since we're all going to be directors together, if somebody could lend me a £5. So, which was quite a lot of money in 1960, after all. I said, £5. Alan Peel reached his hand into his pocket, pulled out a roll of notes, about 300 quid. I said, have that. So there's plenty more where that came from. And by 5 o'clock in the evening, I was managing director of 5 property companies.
Well, there was one particular time where there was these 2 midgets, and Ron, he came in, and he always called it his funny night out. And he put his hand behind one of their backs and pretended he was a doll, a talking doll. And Ron's sense of humour was something, it was different. I mean, he was a humorous man in his own way. And I'll never forget that as long as I live with this midget. I mean, it's just, every time I think about it, it knocks me out.
The only guy I know ever saw a copy was in the London Library. He had a copy out, but this is very strange. He went back and they told him that the book didn't exist.
I wish you'd get a move on.
Now,
I'm down here, and Pat and Jerry, he just picked up some,
18th century?
Some Sexton Blake, Cardinal and the Corpse, and I remember you telling me once that Flann O'Brien had something to do with that. I wish you'd get a move on. The lower orders down here are getting a bit uppity. Yeah, I'm improperly dressed. No, I'm not carrying my sawn-off shotgun.
So what we were doing was making starts on houses and then selling them. Actually, they were only about 2 bricks high, you see. But the company prospectuses, I mean, they were all ready to walk into. Everything there except the latchkey. So what we were doing was taking deposits on continued building. Well, see, the building never really, once we took it over, some feeble start had been made by the previous administration. That all quickly ground to a halt, and no builders were ever actually contacted. We were basically working for someone called Charles de Silva, who, brilliant con man. I saw him 15 days before he died, and we went back over all that. He said, you know, my dear fellow, he said, what fun there was.
It was said that we were the first mobile criminals that ever went up and down the country. The motorways opened it up. I mean, I remember at the time in Birmingham and Manchester, when, because we were Cockneys and came from the East End, immediately a police presence come on you. I mean, I stress this a lot in the book. I mean, when you go through it, I took to Blackpool and Birmingham and all that. But it was more like, I suppose, like, started out with something to do, and then it got serious.
Working for Charles, it wasn't like 1,000 miles distant from what Ronnie, Reggie and Tony were doing, really, in a way. And there definitely must have been, whether directly or indirectly, links between them. I mean, just from a business point of view.
I've sat there and sawn a barrel off a gun. Dangerous thing to do now, looking back on it. But they were they were usable.
David Litvinoff, Litvinoff, I think. I'm looking for the journals of him. You know him? I've never heard of him. Yeah? No, I told him I heard of him, but I haven't actually ever heard of him, no. For me, it's a sort of form of big game hunting. That you know, life is just a game, and finding the books is big game hunting. And that's the element that I actually enjoy. I mean, it does cost a lot of money, simply because I have an extravagant lifestyle. All the other people, there are other people who claim to look for books, but they search for them. The difference is that I find them. Well, how much will they be? I'm not bothered, you know, just tell me how much they be and I'll sort of work it out from there. Yeah?
David Litvinoff was a very good friend of ours.
Yeah, there was a whole crowd of people in Chelsea. David Litvinoff was one of the main characters around there, sort of rebellious aristocrats, you know, from like Lord Lambton's daughters.
He was in Kensington, he was knocked out, and when he woke up his hair had been shaven, he was hanging outside a window.
Is that to do with gambling?
I think so, yeah. I don't know.
No one ever knew how David got his money. He would sort of disappear, and then he'd come back and he'd have loads and loads of cash on him.
He ended up getting embroiled with one of the twins, and some very weird throat scars apparently that he came off with. But I suppose his real achievement was as dialogue coach and technical advisor on the film called Performance. Author of those classic lines like "What a freak show! Shut your bloody hole!" and "Was your old man a barber? Your old man was a barber, wasn't he? No, I don't think he was."
No, I can't remember David Litvinoff, but I remember the film Performance with Mick Jagger in it, and James Fox was it, and that was roughly supposed to be about the craze and that. It was based roughly on that performance. It had some good write-ups as it happens, but I've never seen the film. I hope you're going to have an haircut after Regis.
I will certainly be doing so, yes. I always like
Tell me
a
something,
haircut.
why do you have it like that? Why is it so short? It's skin, isn't it? I'd call it.
Well, I know it's a skinhead. Certainly, my major purpose is to show off this scar. The scar is my major achievement in life. This was the first time that I ever really managed to upset somebody. I was sort of working on a building site, and I was just the tea boy, and I had to deliver the tea to the man. And the man was wearing a hat, and he said to me, do you like the hat? I said, yes, it's very good. It hides your face. You know, and with that, he hit me with the wheelbarrow. I sort of woke up in hospital. But I always thought that this was a major achievement on my part, sort of actually wounding somebody with words. And ever since then, that was the first time I did wound somebody with words. And ever since then, I've been very, very proud.
But he wounded you with violence?
Well, the middle-class punter exists for, well, we all know what he exists for, don't we? I mean, you know, it's work the kite out of the pocket. It's, frankly, it's that. That's the common prey, if you like.
Listen, you've got something here that I want. There's a book. This book is the key to this whole area. The person who has this book will understand all the lines of this city lead to this door. All the lines, they lead here. I know you've got the book. You've got to let me in.
I would certainly consider myself a yuppie now.
You would call yourself a yuppie?
Yes, very much so. I'm deadly keen to be upwardly mobile. There's no limit to the upwardest which I would like to be mobile.
When I came back from the war, I had no home and was very glad to go back to Hackney and stay with my parents for a considerable time. During the days, I spent a lot of the time walking the streets of Hackney and continued, even after I'd left the area, to become a kind of ghost haunting the whole borough. And there gradually took shape in my mind the idea of a novel.
I would not feel that I lived in Hackney. I would feel that I have an office in deepest Dalston, which is the heart of Hackney.
I like The Low Life because it's a London book. It's about this guy who's a Hoffman presser, and he's a gambler, and he lives in Stoke Newington in a boarding house.
I don't quite know how I'd end up here. What it is, simply that the houses I lived in get filled up with books, and rather than move the books, I move myself, leave the books there, and move on to the next house. And so, simply, I sort of been doing a great circle round London. I started off in Richmond, then I sort of moved round to Acton, then I moved round to Notting Hill Gate. And as the years go, and my dream is to entirely encircle London.
When he's broke, he goes to his brother and borrows money from him. And then he gets mixed up with sort of all these gangsters and there's a chase scene at the end. But it's just a great book.
There's Sexton plates by different writers.
Well, yeah, okay.
I think one of them is by Mike Moorcock, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Moorcock, Schmoorcock.
Interesting.
Quid each, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
You were discovering a forgotten past, neglected past of minor people. Essentially, of course, one would love to find a G.H. Lawrence manuscript, but in Stafford that was not available, so you bought something lesser, as is thought. And that you then sold by explaining what it was to someone in some half-assed way. And it worked.
Have you got Gerald Cash? Night in the City. Oof, hot. 3 quid? 5. Hello, Nigel. Yeah, got a Night in the City, Gerald Kirsch. It's American first. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Cheers. What's
How much is this?
50 quid.
So a lot of it is luck. I mean, or actually choosing the right form, the right genre, because there are respectable genres and non-respectable genres. And I think Kirsch, for instance, seems sort of absolutely. He managed to pick every sort of non-respectable thing there was to write about. He wrote about working class people, Jewish working class people, unlovable Jewish working class people, and he wrote humour which never seems to people never seem to accept as being that respectable.
There was a general reluctance to publish books about the East End of London. They regarded it as drab, too foreign and alien to the tastes and interests of ordinary English readers. And to some extent you can understand their attitude, because we were really an extraordinary sort of foreign enclave, a kind of East European ghetto stuck in the middle of London. I mean, the languages that were spoken, the food that was eaten, the songs that were sung, everything related to cities like Odessa, Kiev, Warsaw, Kishinev, and so on and so forth.
You cannot be a scavenger anymore. There's a little man in the village who knows, he's read the book. He knows it's worth £4.75. And so I don't want to go to his little village anymore.
What are these? They're just Sexton Blake things. I like the cupboard. 2 a penny, matey.
And so I did actually find myself 1965 with a very expensive girlfriend on my hands and a very little money. So I ran to Bobby Katz and he said, well, why don't you have a go at selling books? He said, Paul. I said, terrific. We were in the French. Where else? See, I mean, all my operations really started off there. Headquarters. And so he said, right, well, come up and get started in Stan's Court.
I'll be interested in the other thing when you put a serious price on it.
Well, you can have it for 40.
A serious price?
Well, the harmless stuff was all right in front, and then the heavy punishment and bondage and everything, and the movies were all in the back. We used to sort of like filter them.
I've got some things you might be interested in. Flann O'Brien, originals, not recorded in the bibliography. Nobody's ever seen them, other than me. Yeah. Stephen Blakesley, The Case of the Alpha Murders. The Cardinal and the Corpse, Stephen Blakesley.
I don't think that Stephen Blakesley is Flann O'Brien. I mean, categorically, I don't believe that. But in fact, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, the more chances are that this was a writer living in Dublin and submitting manuscripts, which is unusual for Sexton Blake. Most of them are commissioned and from a relatively small pool of writers, regular writers.
And I mean, the very first day I was working there, a man dashed in with blood all over him and a gun in his hand. Luckily, he ran out again. And you've got some really quite peculiar people. I mean, so much so that at one point we had a notice. I went into work one morning. There was a notice up behind the counter saying the following MPs will not be served. Well, the two Conservatives, 2 Labour. I thought, it's like a football match, 2-2.
It was a crazy time. I mean, there was a lot of money around. It was easy, it was open. And where you got entertainment, in a sense, you're going to have criminality.
I have been arrested for murder, yes.
I have been known to sign the odd signature that was not my own to books that were not of my own writing, yes. I have been known to do that in public. They're probably, I would say probably about 50% of the signed copies of most science fiction books on the market today are probably signed by me at some time.
Oh, it just got a bit out of hand. You know, it's very stoned as well, sort of doing this, going in and boosting books, you know, from up in the Mayfair bookshops as well. It's just really very out of hand. Well, I got arrested by West End Central, so...
God, do you remember that?
They really frightened me. They were horrible men.
The police at that time, when they arrested me, I had no idea what was actually happening. And they took all my clothes for forensic evidence, and they had to bring pantechnicons to take them down to the police station. And then when eventually, after about 24 hours, they did discharge me, I said, you know, are you going to bring the clothes back? You know, and they sort of went, no, I had to do it myself. You know, I was appalled.
Driffield? Yeah? Look, I've been trying to get you all afternoon. What's happening about this manuscript? Yes, of course I want it. I want it now. I want it straight away. Oh, God, what a freak show.
It's rather disturbing things that happened to some friends of mine, terminal in some cases, and I thought, well, what do I really think about all this? And that was how Derek Raymond really came about. All those books, those factory books.
You are my client. You asked me to look for the book. You owe me approximately £750. What have you done? You've employed me to look for this book for you, and now you're telling me you can get it?
Might be able to get it, yes.
Well, I might be able to get you a coffin.
There's no need for any of this, is there, really?
What do you mean, no need?
Well, look.
It turns out that he actually owns the manuscript, and he wants me to go hunting for it so I can up the price. So, no, I just don't want anything to do with it.
So you have a shady past interest, in other words?
Well, I don't consider it shady at all. I mean, you know, the American government were keen to throw light on it, and they failed.
I mean, the government don't ask you to leave unless you've done something wrong. I mean,
I didn't do anything wrong at all.
Not in your eyes, I mean.
No.
I mean, let's get down to the nitty. You must have done something wrong to be thrown out of the country.
Officially, I'd simply overstayed my visit.
And then asked you to leave down there.
No sense of humour.
Has it happened before? Or?
Sorry?
Has it happened in other places? Or?
No, I mean, I would like it to happen in other places. I'd like to go around the world getting a collection of these documents saying you've been asked to leave the country.
Just want to be careful, you know, just want to put another scar down your face so that you can't turn your head. I don't like the word gangster. I just can't take that. It's not like that. I feel embarrassed about it if someone was to say that, you know, and you see things portrayed now from East End gangsters and all the rest of it. And it ain't like that. They're not like that. It's just a label stuck there. And I totally disagree with it. I feel embarrassed when people use that word.
Well, I think, I'm afraid I think that all life is ultimately about death. I mean, that's what I call the general contract.
These are all failures. These are books I have been asked to find, and the people have not paid my prices. But what I intend to do with these is when the entire wall is full, then I shall take them all into a field, and I shall invite all the people who asked me to look for the books, and then I shall throw one book at a time onto the pyre, and it will give me great pleasure. I'm very much in favour of burning books. And they are, after all, my books, and I feel that sort of burning books is a major contribution to civilization.
Where is the best place to hide a book other than in a library?
Where would you hide a book except in a library?
Under the floorboards?
Like bodies.
I don't hide bodies under floorboards, you know. But nobody looks under floorboards. And I don't suggest, I would never suggest that a book is having any influence on anybody by being seen or not seen. I think it's too much of an ordinary, everyday object, and it has no magical content to it.
The dead come back either loving you or hating you. It's a terrible thing when they hate you. You can't keep the dead out. They rest on your shoulder whatever you're doing. They weigh nothing.
Barrett, I've got it. It's just the key to the city, the Kabbalah. I've got it. How much do you want for it? What's the price?
I did 2 spells of minicabbing. Each time after one of my marriages broke up, because I usually felt like a change of scene. And if I got no money, I could always go back to Globe and say, can I have my old job back? Because the night dispatcher was a very old friend of mine. I only ever drove nights. Driving at night, you've got a much more interesting kind of client. Much more interesting. Sometimes they're downright dangerous. I had a knife in my back one night. Not in it, but I mean just against it. And you look a bit stupid sitting at the steering wheel. What, I mean, the blokes in the back, wait, you've got nowhere to go, really, have you? Except where you're told.
When the twins had this, we'd always come over and pay our respects to them. That was the way it was. And we had a drink that night. We discussed a couple of things. It was just a night out. We had 2 brothers with us over from West London who wanted to meet them. And we'd said what we had to say, enjoyed ourselves for a couple of hours, and then went on to, they wanted to go to the Regency Club in Stoke Newton. We went to the flat in Everingham Road, and that's what happened. The murder took place there. It's like walking in a dark alley and never knowing what's there. I mean, it was just chance. It was put in his own car. We tried to first of all get in the boot, but obviously because